Hey everyone, it's me, Fiona Jane, aka Dr. Hikaru, and this is going to be the eighth installment of my video blogs on my daily life and life with endometriosis. So, in my last blog, I talked about pain in number 7 and how it can affect you. And I also said that, I always classify there are three components of the pain: physical pain, last blog, emotional, and kind of the mental pain that you'll go through. So today I kind of wanted to talk about what my emotional cycle and its impacts, including the mental effect it has on me. It definitely wears you down. So I talked about how the pain can be just the pain itself can be rather, destructive in your life. The other thing is endometriosis. You can look at it as a hormone imbalance. Um, I know I haven't done what my doctor said on my follow-up appointment, but one of the things we did talk about was my risk for depression. So I had mentioned during my recovery time, I was just super emotional, just crying and anxious. And I kind of looked backwards and I had a lot of free time. So I trended backwards on what my life was kind of like, the couple months before when I was just having all the pain and I didn't have an answer. And I saw that I was just really, really angry a lot of the time, really frustrated. That comes from the idea that you don't look sick and people don't believe your story, or because you don't look like anything's going on with you and you're not manifesting in ways they can understand, you're kind of not believed. And it leads to a lot of frustration, inner frustration on what's going on, why won't the medical profession believe me? And I had talked about your extremes. It's heightened everything. It's heightened emotion. So my frustration was now just being heightened, and I look back and it affected my work performance. I mean, I have a high stress, fast-paced job. I'm on a fairly large project at work, and like I said before, I enjoy what I do, but just kind of retroactively thinking about how my life's been, how things have been different for me, is I can kind of say an emotional stability. I would have good days and just come home crushed later for no reason. And when I joined my support group, my endo sisters talked about that many of them felt the same way, and here I was thinking I'm going insane. I've had a Instagram post where I basically said that some days I was feeling I was schizophrenic because I just go through such a flux of emotions. I swear to God that I need to get evaluated for something. But the truth is, when you have all these things going on in your body, your emotions are just havoc. Um, Now that I'm aware of it, now that I hear how other people are managing it, now that I've gotten, the support I need, it's becoming easier for me to manage and to let go, to try to move through it rather than fight it. And back then, when I realized I was just going through cycles and waves, I'd be in a conversation talking to my friends and I'd be totally laughing and then just shocked to tears. And the topic had nothing to do with my tears. I would just feel it, And in recovery, I spent so much time crying, and I cried for a lot of different reasons. I didn't know until my surgery that I had endometriosis. Again, the laparoscopy was my way of finding out if there was anything growing on me, and there was. So, having been told that there was stuff removed from me, it just kind of hit. I have endometriosis, Um, things that go through your head when you find out you have something like this. Can I have kids? Um, am I gonna be okay? There's no cure for this. You know, there's no cure. Most doctors don't even know. Like my one first OBGYN who just kept telling me to go to the ER and wouldn't help me. Just that frustration, that anguish it causes you, that anger that you're gonna go through. It's just finally settling in when I was in those 2 weeks of recovery where I was just kind of at home, alone to my thoughts. And actually, these days, a lot of the times, if I'm not kept busy, I find myself cycling, looping through these various things that I didn't really think about before. Um, Not being able to have kids. For somebody like me who's always wanted kids and is just waiting for the right guy to come along so I can, get married and start my family, to suddenly be told, or to get that feeling that it might happen. I mean, not finding the guy, but being able to have my own kids born in my own body. You don't ever think of that. I was at a dinner event yesterday. My friend asked me if I had enough spoons to go and be his date to a formal event, and one of the ladies was expecting. And, I kind of looked at them, and I hadn't told my friend what my doctor had said, that, I should be okay to have kids if we follow this treatment. But I ended up saying in that conversation, the two girls just kind of looked at me, and I was like, oh, long story short, I've just been recovering from a surgery. I have endometriosis. And one of the girls looked at me, and I was like, so honestly, if I didn't hear good news from my doctor, I probably wouldn't be able to even sit in on this conversation. And the two girls were like, oh, well, I wasn't trying to get pregnant. I'm like, no, you don't understand. And that was the thing. Another woman doesn't completely understand. It's not the trying. It's that they're like, oh, I never know if I want to have. It's not knowing if you're going to have kids or not. It's the fact that you're not able to have kids. It's not wanting. It's not trying. It's that right for me to give birth has been taken away from me. I mean, these are the type of thoughts I had. These are the type of thoughts that impact me as a woman. If you don't want to have kids, fine. If you never thought about having it. But for someone like me and many of the other women where we've wanted to have kids, we've just known we want to have that life, that right getting taken away from you by a debilitating disease, or the fact I could end up with a full hysterectomy. It's scary. It's damaging. And you can loop on it. Like I said, I'm lucky. My doctor said that if we go down the path I'm heading, I should be able to have kids. And I'll hit that hurdle when I hit the other two parts about finding the right guy and, getting married and starting my family. But at 30, when I already know that my body's changing and I'm going to hit a lot more risks that most people don't have to worry about, it's scary, Women's health has always been a big thing to me, and it is even more so. So, endometriosis, just, I wrote something on Instagram, and, I should have pulled this up before I talked so I would remember exactly what it said. But it was along the lines of, it's not dealing with the pain that's the hardest thing about this disease. What's the hardest thing is dealing with the emotions and knowing I have limits. There are limits to what I can do. I have a limited number of spoons I can use. I'm limited in my options based on my health. I've never really had to worry about a chronic pain keeping me from doing something. It's one thing you have a cold and you can work around it. I cannot work around my chronic pain when it hits. I talked about Tuesday that it was just in so much pain, and I'm lucky this week I really haven't had that. Last night I was a little sore because I'd been standing on my feet most of the time through the formal dinner when we were chit-chatting, and then I went to a birthday party after. And even during the birthday party, I started feeling a wave of emotions. Like, I ended up crying that night because it was just, I ended up dealing with a lot I wasn't ready to deal with on just different parts of my life colliding at once. So when I say there's an emotional pain involved, it's what pain will do to you alone, and just your future is uncertain. You can get hit anytime with pain. I'm learning to acknowledge I have mood swings, but it affected my work performance. I hate to say, and some people say it's a crutch. It's not a crutch. There's medical illness involved. There is something wrong with us women with endo. Me and my endo sisters suffer through this. And some people are just like, oh, you're just playing the sick card. There's no sick card. Just because I don't look like that girl in the commercials sitting by myself, those depression medicine commercials where they show that one person who visibly looks not right, I'd be in the middle of a sentence and break out in tears, and it, for me, I notice it a little more when I have time to let my thoughts wander. So these videos help because, one, they let me chronicle my thoughts. Two, I can replay them and try to work through whatever thoughts I had. And three, it helps me move through my thoughts. It's very hard when you loop, like I said, these loops on, can I have kids or not? It's super scary. If I have a daughter, am I going to pass it to her? I think every woman who has this and finds out they're going to have a girl just sits, and the pain, the good news is we're going to be able to help them work through it. We'll know, but it hasn't been proven, like I said, as a gene, but they seem to find a correlation with family history. Like I said, I can't see any on my mom's side and my immediate dad's side, but I have it, which means my daughters could have it. So that's an emotional pain. And I talked about how the pain itself doesn't make me feel like a woman. The rise and fall of the emotions that go, for me, is definitely the worst. The week before my period and the week of my period. The week after my period, I feel I'm stabilizing a little better. Like I said, high risk with depression and endometriosis. Just what pain does to you, how pain changes you, how not having a clear-cut answer. The best thing for me right now is having a doctor that moves me through steps. My primary physician, who first made the clear endometriosis call or was suspecting that and started treating me for it, put me in steps on, if it's not A, we're going to try B. If it's not B, we're going to try C. If it's not C, we're going to try D. Or I might put you through B, C, and D at the same time to just make sure, that having the next step. But for those of us where we've already been diagnosed and maybe we've had our surgeries or we're on medication now, it's chronic illness. It's an invisible illness. Worst of all, it's an illness without a cure. Some of us, I've heard success stories of women who are lucky to get their pain under control and they're able to adjust and live with it. But adjust and live with it, I have been trying to adjust to not being medicated anymore. I've been on pain meds since September, October. So it hurts because I'm in my recovery through the surgery. And like I said, this week is supposed to be my period week. So I'm expecting the pain to flare up. I just don't want to be dependent on drugs anymore. That's how I feel. It's sore, it's uncomfortable. I'm not at that 6-7 level that I was on Tuesday. It's Sunday today, but it's definitely painful. So not like searing pain, more like an uncomfortableness for me, or just a soreness. But the emotions get to you when you feel left out because people don't understand what you're going through, that people can't relate, that people can't follow, that your friends aren't. They say they're there for you, and then you find out that they're not really there for you because they can't comprehend or they don't take time to read up on it, or they're used to you not having this illness, so it slips their mind because I'm not on crutches and I'm at the bar, or I'm trying to be at the bar, or I'm trying to meet up at the party, that I get a little more slighted when you kind of forget, I don't want to have like a sign on my head that says, "Hi, I'm dealing with endometriosis." Nor do I want to be treated like somebody who's just unable to do things. This again goes to my limits of what I can do and what I can't do. But sensitivity to it, being able to talk about it, things that wouldn't bother me before now bother me, especially if I'm on this hormonal flux, I guess you could say, or these times when my symptoms are worse. It's hard, and you get tired of explaining it, and you're really blessed when you have someone who understands the spoon theory. You're really blessed when you have someone who's going to sit there and say, I need to talk about my night, how horrible it was, or how it became because I just felt left out, and here I am just tearing up about it. I mean, this is the emotional wave I'm talking about, where I don't know if it's going to hit, and when it does, I just kind of take a step back You know, one, I don't like messing up my makeup, but I've learned how to waterproof my makeup. I'll probably have tips on that, how to set and waterproof your makeup on another thing that is not related to my endometriosis log, but and just my thoughts in general. But that's the emotional turmoil you go through when you struggle with this, and in that mental capacity again, not knowing what you can and can't do, knowing that I could do 12 miles in my fit state before I had these adhesions inside and pain, and not knowing what's going on inside my body. I can hope that based on my pain level, there's nothing there, but again, pain and how much bad tissue I have inside me, not correlated. So this this is kind of what I wanted to say in this video, is just that emotional side effect of this, that's just as crippling as the pain. And physical pain combined with it, you know, the days I don't have pain are days I also have this flux, and sometimes I don't have it. So I'm monitoring myself and kind of journaling on when I get these super extreme things, and hopefully I won't end up with a video telling you I have been diagnosed with depression, but if I am, I can understand how I would get there. Some of my endo sisters have been diagnosed with that. It is a lot. It could be a hormonal imbalance that's causing it. It could just be all the stress and the anxiety and the tension I've been having with it. But I definitely will tell you, since this endometriosis journal has begun, I am way more emotional on the sides, and I'm telling you, it's less of the happiness, high emotion. It's more of the anxiety, anger, and depression. I'm lucky that I've been able to find healing and ways to endure. The word I've learned to use is endure and hope. Two words recommended to keep thinking about by one of my endo sisters. That I will endure, and I can hope it's going to get better. Because without hope, I can't endure. And without enduring, there's no hope. So, thanks for listening to this segment. Keep me in your thoughts and prayers. Keep all my endo sisters and those of us who also suffer from other invisible diseases, or just anyone you know who's having a hard time, because support is great and support's what keeps us going, and the days where I can't motivate myself, your support is what motivates me. So thanks again. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'm in touch. Bye.